What's up, guys? So I want to talk to you a little bit about everything that's been going on. So the FBI is behind a lot of these crimes, and you have in the YouTube short that I released earlier, his name is Eric Coomer, and he is or was the director of Dominion voting machines during the 2020 election. And he went on record, well, not on record, but he was on the phone with an Antifa conference call saying Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of that. You've got Biden, who was sitting in his mother's basement in the 20 election, and he went on to say that, yeah, we just organized the greatest heist of election voting, really, because he's just so far past the point of mental cognizance that he doesn't even realize he's not supposed to speak up on it. So you've got that. Now, you've got the Trump shooting event in Butler, Pennsylvania, right? Where nobody's really talking about it, but there was a second shooter on the water tower. That was Antifa. And in the YouTube short that I just posted, check it out, because you can clearly see there was a figure on top of the water tower. The Secret Service took him out, as well as Thomas Matthew Crooks. And that was Antifa. That was the picture they used for Thomas Matthew Crooks was really the Antifa shooter. Like, he had gauges in his ears and stuff like that, and he didn't have the piercings in his lips. Thomas Matthew Crooks, I reported, was transgender. Not a lot of people really know that. He was going down that road. Well, if you look at the Uvalde, Texas shooter, that guy was bullied. He was transgender, and he had this therapist. Well, if you look at Thomas Matthew Crooks, the FBI had their work pretty easy for them this time, because Thomas Matthew Crooks' parents, both of them, were therapists. They were social workers, and they've been doing that for 20 years, ever since 2002, so 22 years. So they didn't have far to go. And there was this group that did this detective work, tracing phones. Well, there was an FBI agent that was in and out of the home and the workplace of Thomas Matthew Crooks for a good couple of years. That tells you everything you need to know. That guy was FBI. His office is in Massachusetts. Okay? So this is getting pretty crazy. So the FBI is behind everything. Antifa's running the country because Eric Coomer, who is director of systems and security of the Dominion voting machines, he was on a conference call with Antifa. I mean, you're starting to connect the dots now. You're starting to see everything that's going on in everything. Antifa's running the country. The FBI is part of this. We've got a local case here that I've talked about a lot of videos, Gretchen Fleming. I was on the phone with the FBI field office in Pittsburgh. That's the same field office that's in charge of the Trump shooting with Thomas Matthew Crooks, because he was from Butler. Well, he wasn't from Butler. He was from another town by Pittsburgh, but it's the same office that's in charge of it. And the FBI is not coming full circle about full disclosure about what's going on behind the Trump shooting, but we've all figured it out. And when I called the FBI about the case of Gretchen Fleming, their exact words, and I quote this, the woman on the phone said, "I can't guarantee we're going to help you with this crime." She said, "If you suspect there to be foul play with your police department, you need to turn to your state AG, which is Attorney General." Well, it's election year, and we're getting a new state Attorney General. So how can I trust them, this new guy, whoever it's going to be come November, in our West Virginia State Attorney General, when I can't even trust the FBI to solve the crime that they're supposed to be in charge of? This crossed state lines. They are supposed to be in charge of this. It's on the Ohio River. It's West Virginia and Ohio, but the FBI is not doing anything about it. They even told me they're not going to, and they haven't. 3 other people called the FBI over that crime. Nothing's been done. Just like nothing's been done over the Trump shooter. People want answers. The FBI is not providing them. So here we sit. And I've talked about the live, work, play centers, about how they were supposed to be our concentration camps. Well, now the white hats are in control a little bit, and there's really only about 10 to 20% of the deep state left in control right now. The white hats have been burning and smoking out their underground bases. You can kind of see the smoke rising and the fires from sewer grates underground in like Los Angeles and other places all over the world, the country. So the white hats have been fighting for about 2-3 years. I've known this. And apparently they've got a little more control. And I'm going to tell you that if you remember the Stormy Daniels case with Trump and the judge that indicted him as guilty, that was a criminal case. You need all 12 jurors to say that he's guilty. Well, they only had 11. So since they only had 11, that judge broke the law in a criminal case. That only works for civil cases. So, I've got a mosquito trying to bite me here. And he is now sitting in Guantanamo Bay. So, that is truth. That judge broke the law. He's now in Guantanamo Bay in Gitmo right now. So, it's pretty sad what's going on in our country. We've got the FBI and working with Antifa, you know, and there's nobody we can trust now, or policemen, we can't trust them. In the case of Brian Laundrie, and I said this 2 years ago, I said that 3 different police agencies dropped the ball on that, with Northport, Florida, New Bern, North Carolina, and Moab, Utah. You've got policemen that have demonic tattoos on them in the Brian Laundrie case in Moab, Utah. He had a Naruto tattoo on his forearm when he was driving Brian Laundrie out. They weren't charging them with a crime. You know, they were just trying to keep them separated for a night. Well, it turns out Brian Laundrie was the one who murdered this lesbian couple. Nobody really knows that, but it is true. And he murdered other people too. He murdered a guy from Houston who was 46 years old out in Bridger Teton National Park right before he murdered Gabby Petito. Just like those murder mystery novels he was reading by that Satanist, because he was under MK Ultra mind control. And in the case of Gretchen Fleming, we're finding out that she disappeared from a bar. Well, we found out that Chelsea Evans, one of the 2 owners of the bar, the lesbian owners, she is a Satanist who even put on her channel the witchcraft that she's doing with tarot cards, Ouija boards, and she played it to Doja Cat music. She's said that she's going to hell. Now, why would she say that? Why would she put on her own Facebook that she's going to hell? Well, because bartenders are in on the fix with a lot of these missing people. You've got Riley Strain from Nashville, right? He came up missing from a bar. And people will argue that. They'll say, well, no, he left the bar and then he came up missing. Well, no, he got spiked drinks at the bar. That's why he was so drunk. Same case here with Gretchen Fleming, okay? There's more information that I'm going to tell you on another video, but locally, bartenders, we've got video out of Los Angeles, again, of all places, where girls are saying, we know bartenders are spiking drinks. We know that they're in on the fix. Bartenders are working with the police in human trafficking, I think. I don't have concrete proof yet, but I do think that's what's going on. So, it's really bad. That crime's never been solved here locally. Riley Strain officially has never been solved in Nashville, Tennessee. You've got this stuff happening all over the country. You've got it happening in Wisconsin, Montana. It's all over. It doesn't matter, big cities or whatever. And really, who's behind it? Who's in charge of the police departments? The FBI. So, rest in that knowledge. You've got nobody you can lean on and trust in. If you can't trust the police who are there to serve and protect your local community, you've got nobody. You've got We the People. You've got channels like this that are outing the corruption. So, that's all I got for you guys. There's more that's going to come out. But right now, I'll get into the Gretchen Fleming case again, deeper on another video. We did get some more information, and it is pretty good. So, stay tuned. We'll have that out for you. But I just appreciate you guys listening to these videos. We're learning all this stuff together. We need to stand in solidarity and unison as we go up against all this evil that is running our country. And we've got about 3 months before the presidential election. I do want to remind you guys about the meteor shower. Look to the northeast, out that way. Last night I saw 19 meteors, and some of them were really good. The peak has passed last night. The northern lights may come back. They were up in Cleveland last night. I didn't notice them here in West Virginia, but the phone camera may have gotten a little faint glow of them. So be vigilant, stay up. Between midnight and 5 is when the meteor show is at its best. Even though the peak has passed, you're still going to catch some good ones. The northern lights, if they're going to be out, they're going to be out here in about an hour after the sun sets. That's when the charged particles are at their strongest usually. All right, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video, it helps. Give a thumbs up if you want. All right, we'll see you next time, and Godspeed.